Tommy, as you know, or you may not know, golf season is right around the corner.
I know.
I made what I thought was a good decision of playing today. It's about 45 today, windy
and rainy
in New York City.
I don't know why you thought that was a good decision, but another time.
We found a course that was open. We were the only people there, me and my buddy, and we had a nice little match. I won $100. I felt really good about that. And he paid me on Cash App, of course.
Anyone who is in the tri-state area listening to the show is going to know you are a psycho for playing in that weather today, just for the record.
I am a psycho. All right, let's welcome in NBA legend, future Hall of Famer, Pau Gasol. Pau, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, JJ. It's a pleasure. I look forward to have a good conversation.
There's a lot we want to talk about. There's a lot to get to. I do sort of want to get an idea of how you've been spending your last year. You announced your retirement in February of 2021. I'm also recently retired and sort of navigating this new world of retirement. So how has this process been for you?
So, I mean, it's been a process, as it should be. I was able to play a little longer and extend, because I did kind of retire from the NBA, but I signed with FC Barcelona March 2021, sorry. And because my goal was to finish playing and not allow that multiple double fracture of my navicular kind of finish my career. So I was able to get back on the court pretty much almost 2 years after the first fracture. And played at FC Barcelona where I started professionally, and when I played some years in the youth program. And then I was able to play in the Olympics. So that was also very special. Played my fifth Olympics. And after a month or two of thinking whether I wanted to play another year and give it another run, at 41, I decided that it was time to flip the page, change the lifestyle and transition into something different and better. So now I'm a father of an 18-month-old daughter. I have a lot of miles on my wheels, and it was just time to move on. And I was able to accomplish a lot during the career, and it was fun. I was able to finish playing, which again, it was also a gift and a treat. And now it's been again kind of building. I had things in place which kind of have helped me in a way, but emotionally, there's no way to kind of prepare for that. The emotional gap, emptiness, kind of cliff that you kind of jump off once you retire, and you don't have that structure. You don't have that adrenaline going through your body every time you jump on the court, or even you prepare to jump on the court. Because as you get older, that process is much longer than the time that you spend on the court, as you know. So again, it's been up and down, to be honest. But for the most part, good. For the most part, good, because I've had a very lengthy career, and I'm at a place mentally where I can move on peacefully.
Pau, we should mention you filmed a docu-series. It's about the journey, about part of this process. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to do that? And then also, when did you really feel like you sort of came to terms with this? JJ and I have talked about it a ton with him on this show, but when do you feel like you were really at peace?
Yeah, I mean, when I signed with Portland after my first fracture and surgery, it was 6 months. That was kind of the timetable. The doctor told me, hey, if you do the surgery now, when I was with the Bucks, you're going to be able to play in 6 months, and you're going to be able to start training camp with whatever team you're in. I said, okay, that's something that I can, because I didn't fully fracture it, so it was kind of like a third of the bone. So you could still, so it was better prognosis if I put the 2 screws in and the bone graft and stuff. So I was with Portland. I was making progress, but there was a point in time where started aching, and it turned into the wrong direction. And we did some testing and stuff. And I was 2 weeks away from playing my first game with the Blazers, and they told me, look, it's not good. I said, okay, what does that mean? Like, well, we're gonna have to, gotta see some specialists and figure it out. But it didn't look like I had to stop, basically. So at that point, I was like, okay, this is definitely not what I expected, not what I worked hard for the last 6 months to get back on. And this could mean career ending. So I want to kind of find out what I'm made of and how I'm going to react and deal with all this. And I want to capture it. It wasn't about capturing like the rehab process. It wasn't about, the return. It was about dealing with some, emotional stuff and how I was going to react, not just myself, but my family, my wife at the time. And we didn't have a baby at the time, but we were working on it and see how we were going to do this. So I decided to go see doctors. And once I got back to Spain, I said, all right, let's start doing this. Because at the end of the day, it is about the journey. It's not, you go through a journey, you go through ups and downs, you go through different chapters and stages in your life. And it's how do you deal with them and how do you make the best out of them, each and every one of them, and how you flip the page and move on to the next chapter in a way that you keep writing your story. So I just wanted to capture that, and also how I was going to transition from my playing days to the next chapter and the next, whatever next was going to be. And I also wanted to, because as a player and being part of the MBPA, I also wanted to hey, you got to prepare for this moment. It's going to come sooner or later. You got to have things in place. You can't just expect things just to fall in your lap just because you've been in the NBA. You got to do the work. You got to network. You got to prepare yourself. You got to study. You got to, learn, educate yourself, develop relationships, and so forth. So I wanted to capture all that, disregarding or not knowing what the outcome was going to be with my health in my foot. So and it's all about values, it's all about principles to me, right? So then the pandemic hit. And that was obviously an unexpected twist for everyone. But hey, how do you deal with uncertainty? How do you deal with adversity? And capture that in a way. What are you going to do about it? So that's what made me, and that's when we started capturing and starting. It's about the journey. And at the end, when we were going to the networks to sell kind of the idea, the concept, they were like, okay, well, what's the end? It's like we don't know what the end is going to be. That's not the point. You're not getting it. So a few of the networks turned us away because they needed to know how this show that they were going to co-produce or produce for the most part was gonna end. So at first I produced it myself because I believe, regardless, I just wanted to capture that for myself. And then Amazon Prime stepped up and said, hey, we really like this, this concept. And even though we don't know if you're going to play in the Olympics, that was the goal. But who knows? We're gonna be it, and it worked out. We had a good ending, and now they're reaching out as well. Hey, would you be thinking about doing the second part of episodes of what's next? Which is kind of how we left it open-ended there.
As we said, Pau Gasol, It's About the Journey, a 4-part docu-series available on Amazon Prime. Really awesome stuff, and you certainly captured all of that. I have a comment and a couple follow-up questions on your answer to my retirement question. First of all, I just wanted to comment, there comes a time in any athlete's career as they get later and later in their 30s where the amount of time spent in the training room is more than the amount of time spent on the court. And sure. At some point, and look, it's part of the structure you mentioned, but at some point, that can weigh on you a little bit. You made a comment that going to the next thing, going to the next chapter of your life, it is different and better. What do you mean by better? What do you mean about this stage of your life that's better than your playing career?
Well, what I mean by it is that first of all, the present, I always like to focus on the present. So I always try to make the best of what's here, what's in front of me right now. what I've lived, good or bad, it's behind me. I can't touch it. I can't change it. But what I can change and impact, it's the right here, right now. And so I focus on the positives. I focus on what's great for me right now, which for me is stability, more time at home, more time with my family, being a father, being a husband, building things and figuring things out, or what do I want to spend my time in, exploring things, yeah, that's what I like, the flexibility to say, hey, you know what, why don't we just take a plane and we go to Hawaii and spend, how long do we want to spend there? A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? All right, let's do it. And not having to, so that's why it's better in a way. So I focus on those.
Yeah.
On those things.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and I will co-sign that. I will say, as you get towards the end, and you get towards the end because of the things we've just talked about, and maybe there's a diminishment in skill and physical ability to play at the highest level, or to play the level that you're used to. And that's really fucking scary. It was so scary for me to go through that my last season. But I will co-sign. There is something that is better about this stage of my life, and for a lot of the same reasons. The flexibility, being a full-time parent, it's been awesome. It's been way better than I could have imagined. But there are some things that I missed, and you mentioned the structure and the adrenaline. And structure for me is probably the thing I missed the most. Is there anything else that you missed, and you reflect back on all the years you played, what you missed about the game, or what you missed about a locker room, whatever that may be?
Right. Yeah, no, in the locker room, it's always something that I've enjoyed a lot. The relationship with my teammates, just kind of being a part of a team, but and kind of going to battle with my teammates, and kind of going through the different stages, right? Where you start as a young guy, as a rookie, and starting, figuring things out and learning from the veteran guys, but not quite getting it. But at your own pace, just kind of making strides to maturing and growing and so forth. Then kind of establishing yourself to whatever level that is. And then being one of the veteran guys where the young guys can benefit from your knowledge and can benefit from your experience, and you can help them grow, and you can help them in their journey. So I've enjoyed those different kind of I guess points of my career, and I miss that in a way. But now I'm kind of exploring a potential role with the team. And I've been going to a little bit, under the radar with the Warriors, and they've kind of opened their doors for me to come in and be part of meetings and see the guys a little bit, and talk to some of the guys, and it's been nice, and maybe I'm going to do that more and more as I go forward, but again, I don't want to rush into anything just yet. I just want to get a feel. I just want to learn. I want to observe. I want to see where kind of calls me, where I can get something that makes sense for me to gravitate into. But slowly, no rush right now. I'm just enjoying what I have at this point. And but I do of course miss. I mean, it's a unique feeling, right? That locker room bond, and not that every locker room it's tight and it's great, but it's it's fun to to do what you love. In this case, practice, playing, traveling, going on the road. You kind of get accustomed to that rhythm, that pace, and it's fun playing in front of the crowds, whether it's home with your home fans, whether they're on the road and you're getting booed, and whatever it is, and try to get a win on the road. And going on runs, championship runs, what I've been a part of, it was obviously a privilege. So yeah, you miss those things, but at the same time, I'm thankful for those moments. I'm thankful for those. But now again, I try to focus on what's here, what's right in front of me, and I can dwell on all those things and what I'm missing or what I'm lacking. It's just okay. What I have, what can I take advantage of? What I can enjoy now. And that's kind of how I always try to operate, even though, like I said, there's times emotionally where you just like, you're anxious, a little bit. I felt, for the first few months, maybe you wake up in the middle of the night and your heart is racing and you're like, okay, what's going on? And it's because it's part of that process, and you have to understand that's part of it. It's normal. I talked to a good friend of mine who's the head of the mental wellness in the MBPA, Dr. Parham. And I had a few conversations with him. Hey, this is what I'm going through. This is normal. This is what can I do? This is what I'm feeling. This is normal. This is part of the process. Understand? Just be patient. Don't feel bad about it. Don't think anything's wrong. It's just like this is how you're going through it.
Pau, to reverse course for a second, I want to go to the start of your career in Memphis, and we're gonna get to Memphis in a second. But sure. I'm curious, when you were at FC Barcelona, how close were you actually to going to medical school and not playing?
Well, I mean, I did 1 year in med school, so I did go to medical school for a year. And I tried to not miss any classes. I mean, some of those classes there, if you miss them, you fail the class. So you couldn't miss any classes. But once I was with the B team to begin the year, so I had more flexibility. I wasn't traveling as I would be if I was with the first team. But towards the middle or the last quarter of the season, I started traveling and practicing and playing with the first team and going to playoff games and stuff. And then I was missing classes, and I could see myself growing within the season, but I was really exhausted because I was trying to complement and combine both. And I didn't even have time to get my driving license. So I had to take public transportation, and it was kind of a grind of a year, but it really made me appreciate both careers in a way. But I had to make a decision. I had to commit to one of those careers. And for the time being, I thought, look, basketball, I'm going to find out if it's going to work out or not soon. I'm going to give myself a year. I think I can in a year, I can really find the answer that I'm looking for and be convinced that I can make a living and good living in basketball or out of basketball. And so that's what I tried to talk to my parents. I had a conversation with the dean at the university. I said, hey, because it's like, he told me, oh, maybe you could do 3 classes. I'm like, look, I feel like I have to go all in into this and really figure it out and find out. And it worked out. It worked out really well.
Tommy, we as professional athletes are always advised to have a side hustle. And for some of us, in my playing career, that was podcasting. Other guys maybe do some things in the fashion world, the music world. This motherfucker was in med school as a professional athlete. Like, this is... I love
that he tried to make you take 3 courses still. You're like, no.
Must have had some real talent, pal. You must have had some real promise.
Well, I love medicine. I love, I grew up in a home where my mom was a doctor, my dad was a nurse. So this is what I kind of breathe. We breathe, medicine and health and helping people and have better health and healing them in a way. And, so my mom was a family doctor, so she would take care of families. And I would go around town as a 12, 13-year-old. And it's like, oh, you're the son of Dr. Sias, which is my mom's last name. And I would be acknowledged for being the son of my mother, for being a great doctor and helping their family. So I was like, okay, that's just really cool, to help people be healthy and take care of their health. We always thought we're nothing without our health, right? So I always valued health a lot. And that's why also in my career, I partnered with a lot of children's hospitals in every city that I went to. And now our foundation is focused on childhood obesity and fighting that pandemic of childhood obesity and promoting healthy habits. So that's, health is so important. And, it's kind of, I'm a frustrated doctor. Some people tell me, oh, you can still go back to it and get your degree and become a great doctor. Yeah, that would take me 12 to 15 years to become that doctor. And I just, I don't think it's what I want to do. I'll continue to support hospitals. I'll continue to work with hospitals. I continue to work for for children and families to have better health in the world. But it won't be as a doctor, I don't think.
It's an incredible anecdote to an amazing life story. Let's start with your NBA career. Did you know, like last week's guest, actually, you were involved in a draft day trade with the Atlanta Hawks.
That's right.
Did you know anything about Memphis prior to going there? When did you get a sense that you were going to get drafted, that they would facilitate this trade for Sharif Abdul-Rahim?
I didn't know much or at all. I started hearing the name of Elvis. That's the only thing that, in that name, I was familiar with the name. I mean, I heard that name before, but that was about it. I didn't know anything about Memphis or nor Atlanta. And I was pursuing my dream to play in the best league in the world with the best players in the world. And that's all I care about. It didn't matter where it was. I was happy at the time. I was happy that it moved from Vancouver. Again, I had no idea what Vancouver was like. Obviously, I wouldn't make that statement. I wouldn't have those thoughts because Vancouver is pretty great. But from the tax perspective, a lot more money is going to stay in my pocket, which is a huge plus. So I was really happy about that because I had to pay a buyout to get out of Barcelona, my contract with Barcelona. So again, it was just me focusing on the positives and really not ignoring or not really paying attention to the negatives. But at the time, I was excited to play in the NBA. I was excited to fulfill my dream. I was only the second Spanish player to ever play in the NBA, and I wanted to prove a lot of people wrong because not a lot of people trusted that I could be successful and play in that league with all the guys that are physically very developed and much stronger than I was at the time. And but it was a challenge that I was ready to take on, and and things went well.
The tax man got you on the back end, though. The tax man always gets you.
He
got you in California. The tax man got you in California.
That's all right. Now I'm still in California, and those property taxes are what they are, and now capital gains are going up too. I mean, it's just like it is what it is. It's a good problem to have in a way, yeah. Right? I mean, so I'm blessed.
I was watching a game the other day on ESPN, and Hubie was doing the color commentary at 88 years old. Just an absolute legend. You played for him and another coaching legend, Mike Fratello, in Memphis. Right. What kind of impact did those two guys have on your career? What did you learn from them early in your career?
I mean, a lot from both. Hubie was a difference maker for our team. Once he joined us, he gave us structure. He gave us discipline. He gave us perspective. He brought us together as a team that was kind of lost a little bit with good pieces, young and veteran, but we weren't coming together. And he brought us together. And he established his minute pattern, which I struggled with at first, where there were some players that were going to play some starters going to play 32 minutes. Then the backup was going to play 16 minutes. And then some players were going to play 24 and 24. And that's what it was, pretty much no matter what. And I struggled with that because I was playing 38, 39 minutes a game with Sydney Lowe. And I was like, oh, geez, I'm going to play less minutes. And my contribution, was going to be diminished in a way. And not that he did very much, to be honest. And he put the ball in my hands a lot of the time. And but at first I kind of, struggled. But you had to buy in, like everything else, like every system with every coach. You have to buy in. The team has to buy in. And obviously the main player is important to set the example, so everyone else follows. And but he helped us a lot, and we were able to make the playoffs with him for the first time, win 50 wins for the first time in the franchise history. It was a good run, but we always, we ran into some big dogs and some big teams in the playoffs, and we couldn't get over the hump. We just couldn't perform at our best at that level. And it was first was I think Dallas, San Antonio, and Phoenix. They swept us 3 years in a row, and that's But I think the last year was with Mike already on the team, and that's when changes were made and so forth. But yeah, I learned a lot from Hubie. I learned a lot from Mike. What I like is, I used to have short hair, pretty much no facial hair. And he told me a story about this baseball player that he kind of changed a little bit his physique or his image. He told me maybe you want to grow your beard and kind of grow your hair, and like maybe you should play with an armband. I'm not going to do any tattoos, so that's out of the question. But maybe you need to look, change of look. Maybe it gives you a little like more of a dog, more of a physical presence or something, So I remember having that conversation in his office, and it's like, oh, okay, when he came in, I was playing well. I played well, and he made me play a lot of minutes. Again, I started playing a lot, for like 38, 40 minutes a game with him. But it was more. I remember him with that. Obviously, he had the experience, and we had a pretty good team when he joined. And I remember him telling me that I kind of like maybe a little change of look will help your game and the way you're perceived with your opponents and so forth. I was like, okay, I'm down. Let me try it. And so I grew my beard, grew my hair, and then it got out of control at some point, especially after I joined the Lakers and so forth. But yeah, it was kind of like not really caring so much of how you look. It's more about just letting it all out and just going out to play like like an animal, like a possessed animal, if you will. And yeah, and it kind of helped, had an effect.
We talked about this with Luka a little bit last week as well. What did you think the biggest transition was from the Euro style to when you got to the league initially in 2001?
I mean, the amount of games, especially from where I used to play now in Europe, you play quite a bit of games as well. You play at least 3 games a week. But the amount of games was quite a lot. The mindset, I mean, to me, I came from a team that was, winning. We won 2 of the 3 championships that we played for there. And I think we lost 4 or 5 games the entire season. I lost 4 games in a week with the Grizzlies. I was like, so the mindset was like, how is not everyone devastated that we're losing so many games? It's like, how is not everyone? So that was a little bit of an adjustment, but I had to understand it was a team kind of on a rebuild type of mode with a young core kind of thing, moving from Vancouver to Memphis. But I couldn't quite process that at that time, and then it's a faster game, definitely with more physical presence. Especially back in the day, there were some big guys in there that you had to be prepared for, and you had to be prepared also not just mentally but physically. You had to work hard to not to get hurt, and to defend yourself, and to be able to compete. Even though I could use my finesse and my speed in order to outplay some of that physical strength. And then it's you gotta survive. I mean, it's a sort of survivor type of league. There's a lot of competition. And there's big contracts. People are always playing for a spot. So it's competitive. You got to earn respect. From the very beginning, I understood that was a very important part. I had to earn the respect of my teammates, because it's like, who's this European guy that doesn't speak much English, that no one has heard from or of him, at least at that time. It was this guy coming here. So I had to earn my teammates' respect first, and then the coaches, and then everybody else's after that. So I think that it's more of an individual game, if you will, too. In Europe, it's more fundamentally sound. You move the ball more. The sets kind of go longer. You play the possession longer. Here, the individual talent, it's higher for sure. And then you put those individuals to kind of let them blossom and take over at times, but to the expense of the team play and playing basketball kind of more together, if you will.
You played with a guy that I played with as well, Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate. And over the course of your long career, I'm sure you've played with a bunch of unique personalities and characters. Where does Jason rank in terms of just the uniqueness of his character?
Yeah, he's up there. I think he's up there. I mean, also, those are my first years in the NBA. I loved him because he had such a unique ability to pass the ball, right, and facilitate. But he went from kind of a secondary role in Sacramento to be the starting point guard in Memphis and have to lead kind of in a way our team to a certain degree from the point guard position, which it wasn't a role that he was accustomed to. And I don't know if he was naturally made for that role per se. He's definitely a different guy, a different type of guy, from a unique also upbringing, and you could sense that sometimes, he could be so great and so special, and then sometimes, it was hard for him to keep it up, let's say, as a guy that we needed him to perform and lead on a nightly basis, right? But then I was so happy when he went to Miami. He was able to get that championship with the Heat in 2006, and now we still kind of communicate via Instagram at times, a message here and there, and making sure that our families are good and so forth. So he's matured, that's for sure, over the years, just like everyone else.
Well, I had him I had him as a teammate in 2010. And we obviously struck up a friendship. Both share a love of golf, but even then, and we had Stan as a coach. Even then, with Stan as a coach, Jason was always teetering on the edge of brilliance and madness, one or the other. And you hoped for brilliance, but it was clearly there, and he was a fun guy to be around. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and I actually remember the game specifically, but I was watching more for the interviews. Your first game as a Laker, I remember it being in New Jersey. You had 24 and 12. I remember Kobe just being so excited in his post-game interview. But I found you pre-game getting interviewed, and you said that you were completely surprised by the trade. And you guys had sort of taken a step back in Memphis from those 3 playoff years, and Kobe had taken, and the Lakers had taken a step back after that run with Shaq.
That's right.
What was going through your mind when you heard that you were traded to the Lakers and you were going to get to team up with Kobe Bryant?
First of all, I was in shock. Like I said, I was in disbelief. First, I couldn't believe that I was traded, because I really kind of was hoping, and I went the season prior to that one, I communicated with ownership and management that I was not happy, because the team was, again, it seemed like after our runs, so we had those 3 years in the playoffs, it was like in rebuild mode again. And I was at a point where I wanted to be more on a bringing mode of being more competitive and actually having a shot to win it. And it wasn't the case. It wasn't happening that way. So the Michael Heisley was also in talks and discussions to get to sell the team, which kind of Jerry, who was the GM at the time, was kind of, his hands were tied, and he couldn't do anything to, he was told not to do anything, pretty much. And so again, I was frustrated, to say the least. But the trade didn't happen, so I thought this is it. I'm going to be in Memphis, and I just have to accept it. I remember being called up to at the time Chris Wallace's office, and I had some back issue at the time, and I had been out for 2 weeks, and I couldn't seem to get over the hump and get back on the court. So I thought he was going to talk to me about my back and about my health and so forth. And all of a sudden he calls me up in his room, in his office, and he tells me, "You've been traded to to the Lakers. So the first part, being traded, was something that I had to acknowledge first before I got to the Laker part. And so that was, it was a shock at first, for sure. But yeah, I had you have 3 or 4. I had 3 or 4 hours to get on the plane and fly to LA to join the team. But the team was on the road at the time. I had a long road trip at the time, so I had to go to LA to get through my physical. And it was very, very exciting. I don't know how else to say it, because again, the situation in Memphis wasn't going to get better anytime soon, and it just gave me a chance. And I saw Kobe that summer prior to that trade, where he was also, there were talks that he might go, or he might have gone to Chicago, and Chicago was interested, and Chicago was of interest for him. And I wanted to try to figure out my situation in Memphis in a way to maybe find a better place for me to, fulfill those goals that I had, were to be competitive, to be able to have a chance. That's all and kind of continue to grow, not just as a player, but as a team. And we ran into each other in Barcelona at the same hotel that I was working out. He was staying in. We had a good conversation, saying, "Hey, what are you doing here?" He spent time with his family there, and we were talking about our situations, how we wanted to both to be in a better place, and maybe we can get to play together. But in my mind, I was like, well, Memphis, if they're gonna trade me, they're gonna ask for you. You're not gonna come, so we're never gonna play together. Luckily, they figured out a way to add pieces to that trade that I think ended up being very profitable and positive, even if at the time it didn't look like it or didn't look at that way for Memphis and for the Lakers. The Lakers got me. It seemed like it felt like a perfect fit into the triangle, and exactly what they needed to complement what they already have, and Memphis, it gave them flexibility, and it gave them pieces, in the main one being my brother Mark, that no one really knew about. And I've kept talking to Chris Wallace, like, you got to draft my brother, or you got to trade for my brother that the Lakers actually drafted. I was like on the phone with him. I was like, and I kept telling him every week, see how my brother's playing. He's really good. We should get him. And he finally got him through that trade. But little by little, I started selling or accepting the reality, the fact that I was joining the Lakers, that I was going to play with Kobe, that I was going to be a part of a great franchise with a chance to win, more importantly, because you can be with the Lakers, and I know how that feels when you lose and win 20 or 30 games. And that's hard, just like it is in New York or other cities, that there's high expectations and tradition. But you could be anywhere in the NBA and win 60 games and have a chance to win a title, and you're on top of the world anyway. But again, timing was great, and it was a great fit for me.
It seemed like you earned Kobe's trust right away. And the knock on Kobe for a number of years after Shaq left was a lack of trust in his teammates. There was some viral videos of him talking about different guys. I think he said something about Smush Parker. There was something about Bynum, trying to get Bynum traded or whatever. And of course, Bynum was a big part of your championship run. Did you feel that? Did you feel like that trust was there right away with Kobe?
Yeah, I did. I think he was excited from the beginning. He acknowledged, as a smart man that he was, that was his chance. That was going to be his shot to try to win it again. And from the very moment that I joined the team in Washington, where I got to the hotel around 1 a.m. and the team was playing at noon the next day, he texted me and said, "Hey, whenever you get to the hotel, whenever you're done with your interviews, whatever you need, whatever they have you doing, call me. I'm coming up to your room." I was like, "Well, it's going to be really late. You sure you don't want to wait until the next morning?" I was like, No, I'm coming. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll text you." So I got to the hotel. I went through the interviews that the media were hoping to do, and then once I got to the room, I texted him and said, "Hey, I'm here." He came up, and from the very beginning, he's like, "Look, I'm very happy that you're here." He wanted, let's acknowledge that. I'm very happy, I'm very excited that you're here, but now let's go win a title. let's go win this thing. Okay, I know I know you're ready. You've gone through your struggles in Memphis. Now this is it. This is our opportunity. We got to go seize it. We got to go after it. So he got me. He hooked me from the very first moment that I landed, and we were in the same place with the team. And he didn't wait until the next day to tell me. So I was like, okay, so this is how it's done. I gotta follow him. I gotta do whatever it takes, to help this team get to that level. And the impact was pretty immediate. And everything kind of clicked from there. I never played the triangle. I played against it, but he put me in positions where I was already dominant and skilled enough to make a big difference and be successful.
Kobe, there's legendary stories about Kobe, just in the way that he's wired. And if we're being honest, there's just not a lot of people in the world in any profession that were wired the way that Kobe was wired. And I'm sure at times, like any star player, there's going to be friction with teammates. What do you think Kobe expected or wanted or needed from his teammates? Like, what was he looking for? He obviously was smart enough to acknowledge that nobody was him. What did he expect, though?
Well, he expected your best. He expected to give your best, to take it as seriously as he took it, or at least close to that. He expected you to bring it, to have that winning mindset. And because he understood that without you and everybody else being on that mode, we were going to fall short. So he had to have everyone kind of buy into his mindset of winning, out of obsession for winning and competing and challenging everyone. And that's what it took to be a champion. You had to practice it, you had to live it, you had to feel it on a daily basis. You have to work hard every single day. You had to be committed. You had to prepare. You had to watch tape. You had to take care of your body. Everything you had to, every practice had to be a challenge. So he would challenge, every guy on the team, physically and verbally. So to see what you were made of, to see if he could count on you, to see if he could earn your respect on those times, on those critical times on the court. If he could feel like if you were open, if he were going to hit you, you could knock down that shot, or you could make that play on both ends on the floor. So he needed that, and he was, he was great at setting the tone, and he got me to play at another level. So it was great. And when I kind of, at some point, if I would falter or he could sense that I was not at that sharp, all in type of moment and level, he would always acknowledge, pregame, he would look at me, he was like, hey, you ready? Kind of thing. You give me the look, let's go. Okay. It's go time. Right. So he would just make sure we would kind of engage eyes, that I was in that mode as he was, understanding that that was a critical game or a critical moment.
To that point, did you ever see him have an off day? Not in the sense of makes and misses, but did he ever need that, or was he just on all the time?
I think he was on all the time. I think it was hard for him to turn it off. He was just on throughout the season. As you said, he might have some more off nights than others, or nights that he felt he was so dominant, and especially against maybe the not so good teams where he felt like that extra pass or that right play might not be necessary all the time, that he would, take a little more load offensively. But for the most part, he was always on. Like, I remember a moment where we just got done playing the Olympics. I think it was in 2008, right, in Beijing. And we come back, and I try to take some time off just to get my mind and body a rest and a breather. And training camp was in, I think, 3 weeks after that or something. And he's like, and Phil kind of gave us a practice off we would watch on the side, and he challenged me to a one-on-one on the post. Oh, let's play a one-on-one on the post, just to see where I was at, because he had been working after the Olympics, and he kept himself like ready to go. And I was like, hey, to slow down, man. We're supposed to take the practice off. I haven't been doing much since the Olympics. I've been taking off so I can ramp up, and utilize training camp to get myself back where I need to be. But otherwise, I'm just going to get burned out. That's how it is for me. And it might not be how it is for you, and it wasn't for him, because he was always like on, and he kicked my ass because he was like, he was ready. He hadn't really taken any time off, and I was like, no, I need to take it easy. I'm not going to try to force anything here. But he wanted to. He said, "Oh no, there's no time. We can't take off. We got to keep the foot on the pedal, a foot on the gas. It's just not. This is how it needs to be, and you need to be on that mode." So that's a good example of him always being like on. That's who he was.
Pau, you've talked about this before, I think, in other interviews, about you guys speaking to each other in Spanish sometimes, so that opponents couldn't figure it out. Did that start early? Did you do it often?
Early, right away from the first game in New Jersey. He's just it was also a very smart way for him to bond with me, right? To relate with me, and to create that connection right away. So he's a very smart guy. Very thoughtful, and he would prepare, and he would think things through. And we did it throughout the time, and throughout our time together in the Lakers. But it was from the very first game.
We should mention too that you guys made the finals in your first year in 2008. You lose to the Celtics in 6 games. You turn around. You go to Beijing. Camps shortly thereafter. So I can understand, Pau. I can understand why you would maybe want to take practice off early in the year. It makes sense. It makes sense. So we played you guys, obviously, in the 2009 finals, and there's 2 very specific plays that I want to talk to you about. Really, to me, the 2 plays that define that series. And the first one is Game 2. Game's tied. There's under a second to go. We've got the ball. Turk had just blocked Kobe from behind, gotten the loose ball, called timeout. So Turk takes it out on the side. Stan draws up this great play. You're guarding Dwight on the right block, and we run a back screen for Courtney Lee. Turk throws a lob. You have the wherewithal, obviously, to sort of sniff it out. But what's sort of your read on that play? What's going through your mind as you see that ball in the air, and you recovered, and maybe it was a goaltend because you came up to the rim. Maybe
that's right. That's true.
But what's sort of your read and going through your mind on that play?
Well, first of all, it was a good play. We didn't think that Courtney was going to get that look, and first it was like, oh shit, kind of thing. It's like he's open. Kind of reacted to it, but I was a little late, and my hand got caught inside the rim in order to prevent me from blocking or trying to get to the ball, which is what I was trying to do, obviously. But I was kind of like running backwards a little bit to catch up to Courtney, who was pretty wide open. I don't think my hand inside the rim affected the shot, but probably the rules might say that, and I don't know if it could have been considered goaltending, as you said. I'm glad that it didn't go in, but because it was a critical play, and you never know. Go 1-1 to Orlando, momentum. You never know. We might have won Game 3, maybe not. But luckily we got that win, which was huge for us, and that was a big play.
I actually don't think your hand in the rim affected the shot at all. I've watched that play a few times over the last 14 years, but not a lot. And I probably watched it 5 or 6 times this week. And what I realized is that Courtney slapped the backboard way too hard. I mean, if he had just caught it with some touch, just like a little push touch shot, and he just slapped it like it was too much force.
But that's why we didn't think. I mean, he was a rookie, right? That year?
Yes, he was a rookie.
Wasn't he a rookie? He was a rookie playing big minutes.
Starting.
in an NBA starting and finishing, because it's important to start, but it's even more important to finish games when the games are on the line. A finals game. I mean, I can't imagine what was going through his mind and body at that time. I remember what it felt like for me playing my first NBA finals with Boston, and it was, it's new, but imagine doing it in your rookie year. I mean, that's just like, it's hard to be prepared or ready for that, to have a look to win, to have a game-winning shot. I mean, that's tough. That's tough.
The other play from that series was in Game 4. So you guys blow us out in Game 1. We lose in overtime in Game 2. We win Game 3. Game 4, we're up 87-82 with the ball. Rashard Lewis misses. He gets run off the line. He misses a pull-up jumper. And Derek, I think, got the rebound and threw it ahead to Kobe. Do you know what play I'm talking about? When he dribbles up and he spins between three guys and throws it behind his back. Yeah. And it only was like 5 seconds. And obviously everybody talks about Derek Fisher's shot, that tied it up and put it into overtime. Right. But that to me was the play, because if you guys scored, but if we had just run the clock another 10 seconds, you guys would have had to foul. Instead, we get the ball, we get it to Dwight. He misses the 2 free throws, which sets up Derek's three-pointer. That pass to me was one of the greatest plays that Kobe Bryant made in his career. I know that sounds crazy, but I really believe that.
I don't know how I would go. I mean, it was definitely a great play, and it was one of the best plays, and I would agree with that on that series, which, at the end of the day, it was an NBA Finals that gave him and the Lakers another championship, right? And it was a critical play. I do agree with that. On that moment where we were down 5, and that play made such a huge difference, and it was high level of skill play and unselfishness, which he could have shot that. He could have challenged the defenders, but he made the right play, which speaks very, very highly of him as a player. But yeah, I mean, was he one of the best players in his career? We would have to
underrated.
That.
How about that?
Underrated for sure. Underrated for sure.
The play is so wild to me, because when he's driving, there's 3 defenders back, and he goes into his spin move, and you're trailing the play. You're running in. I don't even know when he starts a spin. I'm not even sure you're inside the 3-point line. And so he starts to spin. I'm not even sure I don't know. I don't know if he had a plan. And he just last second just drops it off behind. In that moment, to have the courage, obviously, but the courage to just try shit is just it's amazing to me.
Yeah, but nothing happens by accident, right? And I think you have to kind of prepare and have work to make a play like that under those circumstances, under that moment. So, and he put himself, I think mentally, especially mentally, obviously he put a lot of time on the court, visualizing those moments, prepared mentally, visualizing those moments, like, hey, under pressure, down 5, I'm down 5, there's 30 seconds left, NBA Finals. I think he's been there already. He's put himself there to be able to make that read, that play, keep his composure, and not let the emotions take over, right? Let me just try to create contact and get to the line. That would be something normal that a normal player or a high-level player would do, but only the top players ever could do what he did at that moment.
I wanted to bring up the 2010 finals against Boston. What's going through your head when Ron is going off in Game 7?
Ron Artest?
Yeah.
Well, I was glad that he was making shots. I think it's always, especially as we were struggling, Kobe and I were struggling from the field, like that particular game, and he was, I think he was the top scorer of our team that game. So it was great. Every time Ron, we knew what he brought to the table. We knew how important his defense was. If he was able to make some threes and some shots and score some point for us, that was a big plus, But he played well. He played well off the ball too. He made himself available down the lane. I remember hitting him a couple times down in the lane when he was cutting. He was such a big body and used his body well to finish, even though he didn't have the best touch, let's say. But yeah, he made some big shots, and especially that last three. That was an unbelievable three. I was actually talking to Phil Jackson today about that shot.
Were you really?
Yeah, I had lunch with Phil today, and we were remembering that shot. How happy we were that he made that three.
The shot that I remember from that game was, I don't know if it was under a minute, but maybe a minute and change left. It was like 74-70, and you had the ball on the left side against Rashid, and you backed him down. You spun baseline. I think it was Paul Pierce. Came over to block the shot. And you were blind to Paul, and I don't know if you felt him, but you made this midair adjustment and got the ball off right before your feet hit the ground. Like, it was so close to being a travel.
Yeah,
but I remember just thinking to myself, like, that was tough. That was tough.
That was tough and lucky at the same time. But those plays in that moment, the emotions definitely carried me. And I did feel like Paul had a chance to get to the ball if I would have shot the ball normally in my turnaround jumper. And I had to kind of like, I don't know, adjust in the air, as you say. And I think Jeff Van Gundy made a comment saying that my feet had touched the ground before the full release. I didn't really pay much attention or reviewed it at all. But it felt it was good. It was close for sure. But it was a big shot, and it went in. I think it hit the front of the rim, and it just went in, rolled in, and just pure emotion there. It was just making a big play at that particular time. Game 7 against the Celtics just doesn't get any bigger, right?
Was there anything extra special about beating that particular team?
No, for sure, 100%. I mean, for me, besides the tradition and the history of the rivalry, it was more, having lost against them in 2008 and not allowing them to beat us again. So that, to me, that was the main. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in our home court. And that's why we fought so hard, and we never gave up on that game, even though we were down and we were not making shots. And again, Kobe and I were off from the field, but we just kept fighting. We gave ourselves a chance, and we put ourselves in a position to win. And the defense, the grind, fighting for loose balls, the 50-50 balls, all those things were there on a Game 7 in the finals. That's what you can control. That effort, that fight, and we got rewarded big time.
Everyone has their own experience with free trial subscriptions, and no matter how the story goes, the ending is usually the same. You find out months later that you're paying for something that you don't even use. Well, now you can fight back with Truebill. Truebill helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts, and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill.
And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. One woman even found out her ex was still using her Netflix account, which we all know probably happens all the time.
Yeah, Tommy, Truebill is great. I had so many subscriptions to things I completely forgot about, and they took care of them all. So don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at Truebill.com/JJ. Go right now, Truebill.com/JJ. It could save you thousands a year. One last time, Truebill.com/JJ. Hey y'all, we all have places to be, but some of those places require you to dress in something more than old, torn up sweats and your favorite t-shirt. We get it, you want comfort and style. Well, Indochino is your answer. From weddings to work functions to weekends out on the town, it's always the right time to dress to impress, especially in clothes that fit you perfectly. Indochino makes high-quality custom-fitted suits, shirts, and casual wear, all at a surprisingly affordable price.
You can customize everything from suits and shirts to chinos and bomber jackets at prices more affordable than you might expect. I just had to go to a very nice function, and Indochino hooked me up with an amazing suit. It was custom made and fit perfectly.
I've been shopping on their online store, and their products are top level. Every piece is made to your exact measurements, and you can customize every single detail. Plus, they're always adding new pieces, so you can stay on trend and in style. So this season, dress to impress on every occasion with Indochino. Get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more by using promo code OLDMAN at Indochino.com. That's $50 off a purchase of $399 or more at INDOCHINO.com. Promo code OLDMAN. My life has changed quite a bit over the last year, and although I've retired from the NBA, that doesn't mean I'm not busy or that I want to spend all my time in the kitchen. Luckily, I don't have to meal plan or prep, and I can still eat well now that I leave my meals to Factor. Factor makes it easy for me to eat clean 24/7 with fresh, never frozen, prepared meals that are so delicious you wouldn't believe they're actually good for you.
Factor saves you time by delivering chef-crafted meals to your doorstep, eliminating the hassle of grocery shopping and meal prep, not to mention cleanup. And each Factor meal arrives pre-prepared and ready to eat in 2 minutes. That's even faster than ordering in.
Yep, Factor tackles the tough stuff so I don't have to. Their registered dietitians and expert chefs work hand in hand to create meals with nutritious ingredients, and with more than 29 meal options each week, I'm never bored. So head to go.factor75.com/JJ120 and use code JJ120 to get $120 off. That's code JJ120 at go.factor75.com/JJ120 for $120 off. Looking back, and I don't know if you felt this while you were in the middle of it, but this stretch of your career, really like a 6-year stretch, starting in 06 with the World Cup, 08 Beijing, 08 finals, 09 finals, 2010 finals. Did you play in the World Cup in Turkey that year?
I did not. I took off.
Yeah, you took off. And then Eurobasket, I think 2009, 2011 as well, and then again the Olympics in 2012. Yeah. How exhausting was that 6-year stretch for you?
It was taxing. That's why I had to take that break in 2010, because I had 2 hamstring strains during that season. And my body was telling me, you're exhausted. You're pushing me to the limit, and I'm gonna give up at some point, and something's gonna give up. So it was exhausting, but at the same time, I was riding the wave. I knew I was in the prime of my career. I had to dig in. I had to make the best out of it and maximize those years to the best of my ability. And for the most part, it was pretty great. I mean, we got to win, obviously 2 NBA titles, medals in the Olympics. We had good runs and good fights against the U.S. team in 08 and 12, which were pretty special games. With most people think they're some of the best FIBA games that ever been played. And then won some championships for my national team. The first, I think, European ever championship in 2009. And then we won 11, and then we were able to get another one in 15, which I played some of the best basketball also in my career at that moment, which was fun. And a plus, I always felt like when I played, you play at those levels in your mid-30s and above, those are always pluses. So yeah, it was exhausting, but it was really rewarding, and I felt like I was playing at a very high level, and I was making the best out of it.
You mentioned the 08 and the 2012 gold medal games, and a lot of people have said that those are 2 of the greatest games ever in FIBA history. And for the U.S., especially that 08 team, the redeemed team, winning that, coming off 06, coming off the 04 Olympics, coming off the 2002 World Cup, like, that was such an important moment for USA basketball. Where do those games rank, or relative to your NBA Finals experiences in terms of the intensity, the level of play? Is it equal? Is it greater? Like, where do you sort of gauge those games versus the Finals?
I mean, it's so different. I mean, I rank them higher, or high, meaning not higher. I rank them higher up there because those are like ones. Again, those are not serious, right? It's not a playoff series where you play a game, and no matter what happens, win or lose, you have the next game, and you have to win or lose four in order to be a winner or loser. There, it's like win or go home kind of thing. It's the Olympics, which adds to it, and you're playing for your country, it adds to it. And Kobe always knew how important it was for me to play for my country, and that's why he teased me with a gold medal once we got back to LA before the training camp of 08 and 09 season. So I rank them as two of the top games that I've ever played. Definitely with my national team, but those games are you're playing against an all-star team. Those were great teams. I mean, I know the Dream Team, and I have the utmost respect and admiration for the original Dream Team of '92. But those teams were, I think, close to that Dream Team, the original Dream Team, as far as talent goes. And I don't say that just because we lost against them and we played those finals, but they were loaded. And they were, and I said they were, as you said, they were on a mission because of their shortcomings on the previous championships.
We should also mention, because you brought up this great era of NBA players and all-star team, guys like Rudy Fernandez, Juan Carlos Navarro, these were really good NBA. These guys could have been really good NBA players, and they chose to go back over to Spain and star over there and make a living over there and be home. So I don't think people quite appreciate just how good the average fan and the hoop heads know. But those teams were those Spanish teams were so talented.
Yeah, no, we were, and there's no secret why we were in those positions, and we won those. I think I say win those medals because you have to win a medal in order to get it. Even though we lost those finals, but yeah, Rudy was a great player. He had a good run with Portland. I played a little bit in Denver, but he decided to go back and as you said, star in Real Madrid. Juan Carlos, I convinced him. I wanted him to try to play in the NBA for at least, and I convinced him to do so for a year. Just happened to be the year that I got traded to the Lakers. So he was like, "Oh man, you convinced me to come all the way here, and now you abandoned me." I'm like, I did not expect this to happen. I promise you, I had no idea. It was not my plan. But he was. I think he ended up being all first rookie team.
Yeah, he was on the all rookie
that
team.
year.
He was on the
all rookie team.
Yeah.
11 and a half points, 11.6 points he averaged that year, I think. I was surprised he didn't get better offers or more interest around the league to play. Even if it was that sixth man of the year or six man award, role. I think that he would have fulfilled that to a very high level. But he decided to go home. He had two daughters. He had two young daughters, and decided to go back to FC Barcelona and finish up a great career there. And now he's the GM of the team. So, I don't blame him. And then we had Jorge Garbajosa, who also played in the league, Jose Calderon, who was great, Sergio Rodriguez, who also played a little bit in the league. Obviously, my brother Mark played well, Serge Ibaka on that team as well. Felipe Reyes was another great player, very talented guy, great rebounder, great just overall great player and great guy that I love, who never came, but I think could have come. And then I think in that guy team was also Sergio Yuli, who was also in the 2012 team. That he's also very, very talented and has played. He's had an incredible career in Europe and with Madrid. A guy that I think would have made a big difference and had a good career here in the NBA too if he decided to come. But at the end, he didn't come. So again, it was no secret that we had very talented players in that team to be able to compete against a very strong USA team.
Is it gratifying for you as the first European player to win Rookie of the Year to see all these guys, whether it's Luka, Giannis, like how much of a takeover there's been even in the last 5 years?
It's been great to see how all the European and international players have just established themselves not just in the league, but as some of the top players in the league. I mean, you say Luka, Jokic, Giannis. I mean, we're talking about three. I think they're in the top 10 in the league. Top 10 players. I don't think you can get them out of the top 10. Neither of those players. And obviously Giannis and Jokic have won MVPs the last 3 years. That's who the MVPs have been. European players, which is something quite extraordinary as well. So just very proud of where the international game has gotten to. How the European players now, they see this as a real possibility. It's not just making it. It's not becoming just an all-star, not just winning a championship. It's like being one of the best players in the league, and year in, year out. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, and I just hope it continues. And the NBA has done a great job. I mean, really extending the game and making the game a global game, and establishing academies and all over the world, and the Basketball Without Border programs. They've done a great work doing that. But yeah, I think it all started kind of a little bit with that '92 team, where inspired a generation like my generation, and made the game, bringing that first professional team of internationally in the Olympic Games, Barcelona, which happens to be my city. It changed the game.
Amazing. Pau, can't thank you enough for the time. Loved hearing all your stories, and we greatly appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me, and congrats on the show and your success. You guys are doing great. Keep up the great work.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.